The largest study on COVID-19 transmissions among children shows low levels in kids ages 1 to 10 years old. That's according to a recent study by JAMA Pediatrics. Researchers studied the spread of the virus during a period of lockdowns in southwest Germany. They say during that lockdown, kids ages 1 through 10 showed low transmission rates. They say it is unlikely children are the cause of the increase in overall cases. The pressure is building in the U.S. to reopen schools during the pandemic. And the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said in a recent study, there is little evidence of the virus spreading at schools when precautions are taken. Specifically, Catholic schools have been open longer than public schools for in-person learning. And joining us tonight to talk more about this is Jeannie Allen. She is the founder and CEO of the Center for Education Reform. Jeannie, we appreciate your time tonight. This is a topic on a lot of parents' minds, whether they're in a private or a public school system. We want our kids back in school and learning, and we want everybody to be safe. So let's begin with many public school districts across the country holding virtual school because of the pandemic. Teachers unions we're seeing want to delay the return to the classroom because they say it just isn't safe yet. But Catholic schools, on the other hand, in New York and Chicago, we have seen them remain open since September. So what has been the approach in the Catholic system to get kids back?
Marnie, great question. You know, they keep moving the goal line in the traditional public system, particularly the unions you spoke about. We're going to open in the fall, then the winter. Many of them, Chicago, Washington, D.C., were supposed to open this week. We're ordering them back. They're essential. And yet the unions, the teachers want to be there. The unions are saying no. So what are the Catholics doing? They took precautions from the very beginning, by the way, with less money. They didn't get the federal and state money that the traditional schools got. They made sure that they had the right clearance, that they were cleaning on a regular basis, that they distanced kids, and they engaged parents and teachers in a discussion about what that looked like. And so everyone's checked, all the measurements are there. I mean, they're following what the CDC does. So from Boston, which was written about today in the Wall Street Journal, which is just such a great symbol and emblem for all of us, Washington, D.C., our kids in the Catholic schools are learning, while most kids in the same inner cities in traditional public schools are home with barely learning, with not very good remote education in most cases.
Well, talk to us about what happens when there is a case, when you're seeing the pandemic in the school system, and how has reaction been among the teachers who are in the Catholic system, the parents and the students?
Well, they nip it in the bud a lot. It really does vary. I mean, one of the wonderful things about Catholic schools, charter schools, is they're very localized. They don't have to make policies across this enormous district, right? So this is part of the problem, is when individual schools are run by individual principals and teachers have a lot of control, then when they walk in, there's a problem. They make a split decision about what to do. Students have to stay home. Teachers have to go home. They can still turn, by the way, and do hybrid or virtual learning, but they don't skip a beat. They don't have to close down an entire institution. You know, you have to remember, the districts that are closed are making policy based on an average infection rate, not based on the infection or the COVID rate in a particular street or community. And that's the flaw since the very beginning of us having closed down schools, is as we made rules and regulations about entire cities, we're forgetting that some communities are much safer than others. We're forgetting that parents may want to be in schools with 10 kids. They might want to have a hybrid where they send virtual sometimes, they're home the other days. The point is, this is a very localized industry, if you will, education, and everyone needs to be involved. We need to be making decisions about what's happening on the street and following science. There's not one scientific institution out there that says that it's unsafe for small kids or even older kids based on distance to go back to school.
I think the public school concern, at least from some of the unions I know here in Chicago, is just the teachers not feeling safe if they've got somebody at home they're concerned about. But I do want to get your thoughts on the Wall Street Journal reporting that since many Catholic schools have remained open, as you say, some parents have begun moving their kids out of the public school system. Do you expect this to impact education moving forward? Things like school choice, vouchers?
Yeah, let me say two things about that. First of all, teachers are our frontline workers. We want them to be safe. We want them to have choice. And we want them to be engaged in decision making at the school level. By the way, none of that's happening in traditional public school districts right now. We're just making decisions across the board, regardless of whether they feel safe or they're in a position to come to school. Those options that parents are seeking now to put their kids in Catholic schools, to start their own micro schools. We're hearing a lot about pandemic pods, 8 to 10 parents getting together, buying a relatively inexpensive full service curriculum from programs like Prenda and others to create their own schooling because they feel safe doing that and they want their kids educated. It is creating a demand. It is creating a demand and more support for choice. And it's making people realize that whether we have a pandemic or not, decisions are made best when parents are involved, driving the education of their kids. Teachers have a say in when and how to show up, and students are given an opportunity to do their best.
Jeannie, one thing that we have seen, I know I've read reports in a number of newspapers about some Catholic schools across the country being forced to close during the pandemic. What are your concerns there, and do you expect to see more closures moving forward, especially as we wait for the stimulus package to roll out?
Yeah, the enrollment really went up, and it's making up for lost time. There have been almost 100 Catholic schools that have closed during the pandemic because parents could not continue to pay tuition when their kids aren't being educated or couldn't justify it. Scholarship dollars dry up. Teachers are home. So it's really difficult when it's a privately funded small institution to keep them up. And here's the rub, Marnie. The federal government has put out a lot of money for traditional schools across the board, across the board. And the issue right now is none of that money ever went to parents or went to where the kids were. The money went to systems. And yet increasingly parents are going to Catholic schools, going to private schools, creating their own potting, right? And instead of simply saying, let's put the money where the kids are, we're putting them in systems, by the way, most of which are empty. Yes, we're paying teachers, we're paying contractors. There's curriculum, there's bricks and mortars and facilities to pay for. But there's nowhere near the money needed in the system when it's empty that are needed when you actually have kids in person. And so imagine if we'd actually sent that money to those schools that were educating kids so they would not have to close. We would be dealing with a phenomenal result because, as we know, the Catholic schools have opened, are succeeding, and tend to have a better graduation rate in inner cities anyway.
Well, an important discussion. We're going to have to leave it there. Jeannie Allen, founder and CEO of the Center for Education Reform. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.